My name is Ryan Wilks, and this is Hell. Welcome. So for this one, I'm working on making a lexicon of letters out of the form of this devil figure that is repeated throughout this show. This is a lowercase e. This is the last piece I made. I figure it's a good one to start on. But if we come over here, the reason that this whole project started was because I was researching deities that specifically help with sexual trauma survivors and deities that specifically seek out vengeance against those who perpetrate. And I stumbled across Lilith. And the way that the story of Lilith goes is that ultimately her story was omitted from the Christian Bible. She was Adam's first wife. She denied his sexual advances so much that, and it was so persistent, she ran away from Eden. And what ended up happening in the story is that God sent these archangels after her, and they gave her this proposition, and it was, you either go back to Eden and be subservient to Adam, and you bear his children, or every day for all eternity, you will bear 100 children, and they will die. This is Lilith's yonic void and one of Lilith's children. This is the first example in the theology of Christianity where the woman was punished with the womb for saying no to a man, for being dominant or at least assertive enough to upset men. And this is a tactic that we see today. This is thousands of years old. Opposing the yonic void is the devil, the male devil. Absolute submission is what this piece is called, and it's a side view of a male figure bending down in absolute submission to female dominance. Anthony and the Johnsons has this really great song on one of their records, and it's basically a talk, and it's 7 minutes long, and the gist of it is that the world will never heal and move forward as a species, the human race, unless we move towards female governance. And I think that's really true. And in that case, it's going to require submission of men in power. So over here, these are the illuminated manuscripts. These illuminated manuscripts are done on Bible pages and folded into actual Bibles. Here we have the 7 seals of the apocalypse. We have war depicted by a knife, strife, a suffering man, famine, burning crops, pestilence, a green horse, martyrdom, a white robe, the great signs, and then the final seal of the apocalypse is silence, which I believe that if it's real, we are in already. And here we have man praying on the deaf ears of God, on the deaf ears of our government's lawn. Prayers aren't working. And so what this piece is an invocation of unanswered prayers to express themselves through you. It says, where do they go, the unanswered prayers? Do they wander space and time? Do they have will? Where do they go but here, seeking expression through us? Invoke those prayers, speak this out loud. I call upon the prayers of healing, make your home in me times 3. I call upon the prayers of hope, enter my heart, and by my mouth may you leave. So I wrote these prayers to be kind of like anti-religion, in a way. And I like the idea of defacing a Bible with art. It's such a sacrilegious and blasphemous thing to do, to make art inside of a Bible and on Bible pages. And so here on this one we have just a devil illustrated on a Bible in Psalms. Devil's praying. This piece right here, this says victory, justice, wrath, and judgment. It is a Solomonic seal that is beckoning those things into the person who possesses this. Inside this triangle it says, I bow to women, I bow to the power built by love, I bow to victory, I bow to justice, I bow to the meek. And I ended it with I bow to the meek because the fabled phrase that the meek will inherit the earth, and meek literally translates to simple, not stupid. So the simple will inherit the earth. And I do believe that. Here we have a tiny little illuminated manuscript. This is an actual Old Testament Bible. It has the entire Old Testament printed in teeny tiny text. And I made my own little illumination, and it says, as above, so below, as within, so without, as the universe, so the soul, as the fill, so the void. This piece is kind of the star of the show here. This piece is called Eye of a Needle. We have the devil, this like sacred cow here, right? It's male with the horns and female with the udders, so it's dual gendered. I'm really obsessed with queering up spiritual expression. Here we have the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. We have the Father killing the Son. And this prayer is one of my favorite prayers. I wrote this by getting into a dictionary and flipping through the E's, and I landed on Eye of a Needle. And so this prayer begins with Eye of a Needle, and it is a prayer to the Eye of a Needle. It says, Eye of a needle, thread open for me, stitch my heart together with golden seams, unfold my will before me when my will beckons me. By the power of 3 times 3, let it be. Eye of a needle, rip me in two. Sew me back, make me anew. Wash me in the void of a new moon. Open my heart and see it through. Make this true by the power of 2 times 2. Eye of a needle, illuminate me with sun. Fill my spirit with joy, teach it to run. Faster and faster towards light may it come. Make this be by the power of 1 times 1. And so what this is a non-religious prayer. This is pretty much devoid of religious phrasing, and it's accessible to everyone. And they're things that are like human desires, right? We want our will to be carried out. We want our hearts to be open, and we need comfort because life is painful a lot of times. And that's really the aim of this piece. Here we have what is this? This is a scribing mirror. So King Solomon and other great magicians would basically look at their own reflection in polished onyx or gold, and they would summon the apparitions of demons. One of the things I'm really fascinated with is how we experience prayer and how we experience spiritual encounters, but also the science behind it. And the science behind this is King Solomon was actually seeing apparitions, but I don't believe they were apparitions because what we know from science is that our brains can't focus on maintained eye contact for long periods of time, even if it's our own reflection. And after about 10 minutes, we will hallucinate by releasing a synthetic LSD in our minds because our brains are scrambling to figure out what's in front of us. And I think that's really fascinating that King Solomon was actually experiencing something that science had yet to explain. Here we have a illuminated manuscript. These are done on pages of Bibles printed in 1777. So this paper is 241 years old. This is called The Facts on Love. It says, the only strength in love many will ever know is in leaving it. Love is not for the weak, yet is pursued by those already in ruins, a show of fortitude of the very will to love, which has already burrowed itself into the earth of every living heart. Love possesses a will beyond our own, not always one, and not always one. Until such time as we find ourselves at the feet of an unknown and endless reaper, we must find our strength in the pursuit of love. And here we have an ode to a William Blake piece with the hand of God sparking life. It says, surround me in love, and then the 6 astrological signs that are closest and most important to me in my house. This piece is the Devil's Tongue. One of the things I love about, I guess, the lore of devils and how they're represented in art is devils and demons and Satan is always depicted as kind of a reptilian, and that's because demons are known to catch you with lies. They lie to you, and reptiles catch their prey with their tongues. So this is an ancient metaphor, and I think it's a really strong one, and I think it's beautiful, and it explains a lot. This piece is a Solomonic seal that I've taken out. I've taken out his words and I've replaced them with my own. It says, protect queer spirits around in that snake. And this is a ritual for queer protection on the full moon. To the left, we have really specific instructions on what to do to carry out this ritual, and on the right, we have the invocation. And the invocation is, I call upon the divine queer spirit, fill me with love, help me to be brave, use me to express yourself into this world, protect me as I express myself, protect me against violence, protect me from hate, protect me from ill will, protect me from self-harm, protect the home you make in me, help me to obtain my will, help me to shine so bright that other queer spirits see. And then here we have queer spirit. Baphomet is the deity that is used to represent Satanism, LaVeyan Satanism, which is an atheistic religion. They don't actually believe in the devil, which I find fascinating, but they believe in the metaphor of him. And Baphomet is a character with breasts and a penis. And so here we have queer spirit with the life-sustaining breasts and the seed. And over here we have all of these illustrations. This one, for instance, is God feeding Lilith her curse, and her the expectation is that she be grateful for this curse, for the mercy within the curse. This is called the classic nude, and it depicts this conversation that they had over a period of, I think, 32 years, over whether or not Jesus was immortal. These aggressive men inserted their opinions into a religion that has shaped our world, basically. It's one of the most powerful monotheisms in the entire world, and one of the most destructive. Up here, we have the miracle at Pentecost being depicted inside. This is also depicted down here. The miracle at Pentecost is this moment where Jesus right here, and it's actually the cornerstone of Christianity. Without this moment, we can't have modern Christianity. It was very rarely, almost never commissioned by the Catholic Church to be depicted. They stuck with things like the cross, Jesus on the cross, Mother Mary, the Last Supper, St. John the Baptist's heads, these iconic images of religious stuff. But this one was never really commissioned because it's the moment that Jesus introduced this concept of a soul that exists outside of your body and that it can only be saved through him. And this is also the moment where hell was introduced as the counter. Hell was introduced as a tactic through the miracle at Pentecost. Here we have the devil going into the void, putting other devils into the void. One of the things I like about calling this show Hell, and one of the reasons I did end up calling it Hell, was that the story of Lucifer goes is that he was the first litigator for the human race. He was the one telling God, like, hey, maybe don't hate your creation so much. And he stood up against God for humans. And he was subsequently sent down into hell, right? Well, hell is earth. In the original translations, hell is earth. And Satan is the ruler of earth, and God is the ruler of kingdom, the ruler of the kingdom of heaven. And it's really interesting to me because it's been lost on most people that hell is here. And I really like the metaphor of hell being here. This piece is the only active spell in the entire show. There are prayers opposing on the other side of the gallery, but this is the only active spell. We have holy dirt from Taos, dove of a feather, we have burned candles, and then over here we have water from a cactus that's rotting. And this prayer says, destroy my doubt, help me to tower over my fear. Shower me with love, help me to receive it. And that's hell.